What could you compare that to? What in the world could you compare that level of focus for an hour and 45 minutes where the consequence pretty much is death?
I met a gypsy.
I seen a thing recently, and I actually did a bunch of it at this formula medicine thing, mental training. They have a lot of mental training there. But I seen like it was an article maybe a few months ago where that was basically saying that they did a test on the TT, and I don't want to make a mess of it because I don't know the name. The bit at the front of your brain,
prefrontal cortex
that controls the like now thinking.
Yeah.
It's not possible for it to work as fast as we go around the TT.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be like you're not riding the TT on what you're thinking about. Like it's natural, but it's also you have to be so far ahead of it to give yourself the time. Like I find myself, I visualize like 2 corners in front of where I'm at before I'm there. Because before, like in a split second, you're
all
there.
Yeah.
So if you're not online 2 corners before, you're offline there, and then you're screwed at the next corner. Like that's.
But I think that this is what we're all chasing when we ride, whether it's motocross, whether it's like you're experiencing the most extreme version of it, right? But I mean, even in jiu-jitsu, like there was I remember one time, I'd been doing it for a few years, and I remembered catching this dude in an armbar, and it was like I was in trouble. I was like, this dude was about to basically like pass my guard, and then if that happened, then I'd be like stuck under this guy and I'd be fucked. And then before I even thought about it, this dude was tapping to an armbar, and it wasn't me. It was something else.
It just happened.
Yeah, like it wasn't me making that decision. It just happened, and then I got there after the fact. And that happens in riding every single second that you're on the track almost. I even think in motocross, right? Like how many times have you tucked the front a bit and then you've just dabbed a foot enough to then pick the bike back up, or you've like given it a little bit more throttle? Like all of these things that we're doing when we're riding, your brain, if it, in the moment that you would think about it, you've already lost the front and you're already on the ground. And I think that it's pulling us out of our own minds so much. And we live in this space and we get used to the feeling of just not having a mind, not having thoughts. And it's like when you zoom out into your life as a whole, it's the thinking that fucks the experience of being a person. It's what have I got to do for money? I've got to be here. I've got this. My missus is carrying on, or my friends fucking being a dickhead, and my boss sucks, and my guy with the Kawasaki just came and stole my bike. But like, it's the thinking that kind of ruins the experience of being a human. And it's like when you're not thinking, that's when it's kind of bliss, you know? And when you're riding a dirt bike, when you're riding the TT, when you're doing jiu-jitsu, all of the things that we gravitate towards, they're the things that take our mind away, and it just forces us to be in the moment. And the TT is probably one of the most extreme versions of it. And I even think about like an F1 quali lap at Monaco, and the tire is just skimming the wall of the chicane. That's you can't think your way through that. Like that's a feeling. Yeah. And that's straight autopilot. And I think that when you can get into that zone, that's like the peak experience of being a human, you know?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And there's no better feeling, is there? Because like, I've always said it, it's why I love riding bikes so much, because when you're in that zone, you're not thinking about anything else. You're not worrying about money. You're not worrying about life. You're not worrying about relationships. You're not worried about anything, because you're just in there doing what you're doing. And when you're in the best times, that's how things are going as well. Like you said, the best you perform in jiu-jitsu or whatever, like that's when it just happens. And those races that you're going so well, someone asks you afterwards, like, oh, how was it through there? Or what did you do through there? And you're like, I don't know. Like, I was just in. Like, I was just in this place where I was just so focused on what I was doing. But it doesn't feel like focus, does it? It's like, it's always hard to explain what it's like unless you've experienced it. And I think a lot of people haven't, though. Like, there's only so many people who've been in that place to experience that sort of feeling. A lot of people go through their life thinking about everything that they do and can't get that sort of headspace where you just release the thinking part and just do.
Yeah, and I think that's why people that ride, people that race, people that drive cars, people that surf. I mean, surfing. I can imagine that you've watched Kelly Slater pull into an impossible barrel at Pipeline, and the wave just drops away, and his tippy toes are on the surfboard, and then the rail digs in, and then he tucks down and just gets spat out of a cave. It's like, yeah, no, bro, you weren't thinking. Like, for that moment in time, it was just doing, straight doing, no thinking, no feeling, no nothing. And it's like a reset for your brain almost, And I think that the more you do that, I feel like it's easier to be kind of like a happier person the more you do that. And I think that's why injuries are so brutal. Yeah. Because you're a drug addict in like a weird sense of the word, like you're addicted to the chemicals that force that state you get addicted to. And then when it gets taken away, then you're just forced to think about how shit your injury is.
I was going to say, you got more time to think, haven't you?
Yeah.
When you're injured, you just sit there and think, and like, there's nothing else to do. That's all I've been doing for the last 13 weeks or whatever it's been. Like, I've just sat thinking about like everything that could have been, that should have been, what should I have done, what I should have done this different. And like, it ruins you. Like, mentally, it's horrible. Like, you're in this horrible place, and normally you can you almost get into your life. I always say I get through my life by like winging it, but it's just that natural thing that you're just like, oh, I'm just flowing, and this works and that works and the other, and everything just falls into place a lot of the time, and you don't got to overthink it and mess it up. And like, I've always been like a massive believer on the mentality side of everything that I do, and a lot of people in the sport, I don't think, believe in it. It's like quite an old school, oh no, like that's not a thing. You just work hard and train hard and whatever. But it's like, I don't know, worrying about when I had no money, like absolutely nothing back in 17, I wasn't worried about money. Like, I don't know, it was just I will just figure it out. It's not an issue. And I had nowhere to sleep. It doesn't matter. Like, you just figure it out. I think there's less, you just have to have that mindset of, I'll just figure it out. I'll just find a way. Whatever happens, I'll just figure it out. That'll work. Like, or we're up against it with the injury, it's fine. I'll get healed up. I'll be better and I'll come back. Like, it's mindset, isn't it?
And I think that when you, especially when you can ride for a living, right? And that's probably why you like to race more than most people, is because I really do think that you're almost just hitting reset on your brain every time you get into that kind of flow state where you're not thinking and you can just be super in the moment. There's obviously a chemical component of it. Something's being flushed through your brain and it's changing the state. And then ultimately you do come back to being you, and you think, like, we trained at Connor's gym in SBG in Ireland, and I hadn't been training at all, like, since I got here. And normally I'm doing jiu-jitsu a few nights a week, and it's just, I'm in that state every, like, 4 nights a week, and then you go home, you can be having a shit day, and then you go train, you come back, you're like, that's good. It's like you just force reset. Yeah. It's like when your computer's fucking up, you're just like, let's just restart the thing, But we trained at SBG, and that you're just fully in that moment, and you're rolling and you've got, probably did like 30 or 40 minutes. And it was just like, bang, get a drink, recover, get your breath back. Like you're just thinking about what you were doing, and you're thinking, and you would be thinking when you're on the TT course. Like it's not like you're not thinking at all, but it's a different kind of thinking. It's
thinking about one thing.
Yeah, the task. It's task orientated.
Like
yeah.
This and this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
It's like there's something like calm about it that you think about, and it's really hard to think about one thing.
Yeah.
Because we did this at Formula Medicine, and there's they can put these brain scanners on you that basically they can not read what you're thinking, but like how many thoughts you have and how focused you are at a certain time.
Yeah.
And if you can think one thought, like you get a better score and stuff like that. And it's really, really hard to just be like in on one thing for like 5 minutes. Never mind for 2 hours. Like a TT race is 1 hour and 45 minutes. If you win in the race, it's 1 hour and 45 minutes. So like to be in that deep, thinking about one thing for that long is hard, because you try and think about one thing, it's
borderline impossible.
Frustratingly difficult.
Yeah.
Like insane. And I'll actually explain it, because it was wildly cool. I don't want to give away the secrets, but I suppose it's not without the technology. The game's called Car Race. So there's 4 of you sat there with these brain scanner things on, and it measures your focus level, and your focus level is basically focusing on one thing. And if you switch to thinking about something else, it drops like your percentage focus massively. The car only goes as fast as how focused you are on a percentage bar. But like you can't, like when you follow the car and focus on the car, like I tried a million different ways to focus on different things, to focus on one thing. And I just couldn't do it. I'm terrible at the game. Like, cannot do it. And it was just getting there when I was leaving, but it's like mentally straining. It's off the scale to just focus on one thing and not let your brain go, oh, let's look at how fast my car's going. Look at the percentage strain I'm going. Look at something like, where's the guy who's racing against me? Why is he catching me? Why is he going faster? Like, your brain's doing this all the time, and to not think about all that is brutal.
And that's life.
It is. It's exactly how day to day goes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you get on a motorbike in pretty much whatever capacity, and you are, because I don't think it's really possible to do something to your best of your ability. I'm sure you can roll around at like cruising speed and think some of the thoughts, but doing something to the best of your ability, like race around the TT or even ran around a motor track to the best of your ability, you're so focused on that one thing that it just erases everything else.
Yeah.
And gives you this like mental clarity it's a really nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a level of there's a level of speed that I think this is like the real hack of riding or anything that you're doing. And like jiu-jitsu, there's consequences of losing that, and motocross, there's consequences. So it's the consequences that force this perspective, because when you're doing the game and you've got the car, there's really no consequences, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes incredibly difficult to just fabricate that level of concentration.
Yeah.
But when you're at the TT, it's life or death.
Yeah.
And it forces you into that zone. And if you can be prepared, and if you can put in the hundreds and hundreds of hours that it takes to memorize every line and every turn and every hedge and every drop and every gear change, and you can be prepared enough to be able to be focused for the 1 hour and 45 minutes, like you're going to reach Nirvana. And you think about it in meditation terms, right? Like that's essentially what meditation is. So these, yogis that go and spend years in a cave to basically like shed their ego and shed their self. They're chasing those moments of like peak experience in a way where there's no thought, there's no self, there's no thoughts of your life and who you are and identity, and you get into that place, right? But that's what you're getting for an hour and 45 minutes on the TT bike, and it's because of all of the risks and just how gnarly the consequences are if you get it wrong. And it's like you don't have a choice in going to that place. And if you drop out of that zone, it might be the last thing you ever do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. I've described it in a bit of a different way to other people, but always said that level of focus of racing around the TT for an hour and 45 minutes. What could you compare that to? What in the world could you compare that level of focus for an hour and 45 minutes where the consequence pretty much is death if you don't? Like what?
War.
What else has that?
War. That would be the only thing.
Like it's
like there would like think about being a fighter pilot that's got bombs and is like having to go behind enemy lines, and you're flying a plane and you've got these maneuvers to make and you're avoiding, like that is probably as extreme as you would have to go to get to the same level. You just finished watching a clip from the full 3-hour podcast. You're on our Clips channel. The full podcast live on the Gypsy Tales podcast channel. It's linked right here. Go over to that channel, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and make sure you never miss a full episode of the Gypsy Tales podcast. If you don't want to watch it on YouTube, you want to watch it on the go, you can also head to our iTunes or Spotify to get the full 3-hour podcast in audio format.
I met a gypsy.